Everyone's once I started coming out with my thoughts on the BNR update for today, June 30th, 2025. We did get 7 cards banned in standard, which is the most cards they've ever banned in standard in about 20 years when they banned 8 cards out of the Infinity deck in March of 2005. And then we did believe in Combo Winter. We did get 7 cards banned on one day as well. But so it's really broken company today is some of the decks that got banned keep up with. Anyways, so Cori-Steel Cutter, Abeulo's Awakening, Monstrous Rage, Heartfire Hero, the Beanstalk, Hopeless Nightmare, and this town ain't big enough for the cards that were banned. So what they called today was the early rotation window for standard. Their goal was to set up the next rotation cycle to be as fun as possible, and so to do this, they say an early goodbye to those 7 cards. Just keep in mind with this, I believe if we were still under a regular rotation, I believe Monstrous Rage, Abeulo's Awakening, and up the Beanstalk, and maybe this town ain't big enough would have been. Oh, and Hopeless Nightmare would have been banned. So most of the format would have been rotated out if it was under a 2 year rotation still. But anyways, we're on a 3 rotation now, so we have to ban, I guess, ban cards more aggressively. But anyways, they started talking with the Pro Tour Ether Drift, the red aggro decks with the mouse package. The Pixie decks, either Esper or Orzhov, and then the main Overlord decks were really good, but nothing really needed banned. But then with the printing of Cori-Steel Cutter out of Tarkir Dragonstorm, it really warped the format with his prowess being 42.3% of Pro Tour Final Fantasy. And just warped the format so much that even the mono red deck started running large numbers of Magebane Wizard in the side to combat the prowess decks. And then Cori-Steel Cutter was the obvious target from this deck. I guess the people were talking about like maybe stock up because it well, you look at so many cards, but yeah, it's Cori-Steel Cutter is just such a resilient threat. Like even once you deal with a Cori-Steel Cutter, it leaves so many bodies with prowess behind that can just still just do a bunch of damage. The next card was the Azorius Omniscience deck, which Abeulo's Awakening got banned out of. The Omniscience deck was around 20% of the meta at Pro Tour and Final Fantasy. The deck had existed for a while, but Royal and the Dragonstorm and Meringue River Regent made the deck better, and it's just that just had to go. They don't like print. They said they don't like printing non-creature reanimation spells so much in standard because, oh, for especially for cheap. Well, this was they thought this card would be fine, but just didn't end up being fine. And then Monstrous Rage. Again, it was been in format for a while. Would have rotated out in the fall if we were still under a 2 year rotation, but we didn't. We're not under 2 year rotation anymore, so yeah. Anyways, Monstrous Rage, overstayed its welcome. It was in both prowess and mono red. And then they did ban another card in mono red, which is part of the mouse package. Heartfire Hero here went really well with the Manifold Mouse, which I for sure thought Manifold Mouse would have been banned, but I guess I mean they're watching for banning Heartfire Hero. Does check out. Anyways, Heartfire Hero. They did discuss either banning Heartfire Hero or Monstrous Rage, but decided to ban both. Just because they're just independently strong and just there's some dumb stuff you can do with Heartfire Hero. You can play at the Rock Face Village or whatever. When you draw when you draw a Heartfire Hero way, you can pump it with Rock Face Village and give it haste, so it just grows it on its own. Growing it with you can go turn one Heartfire Hero into Manifold Mouse, give it a counter and give it double strike. You make it you're still swinging for 4 on turn 2. It's just there's a bunch of dumb stuff you can do. And it's definitely just good though. Card is gone. The next card that was banned was Up the Beanstalk, which again, no stranger to ban was, would have also been rotated out of standard if we were under a 2 year rotation. But it's just so again, similar to Cori-Steel Cutter, it's just once you deal with it, it's probably already provided its advantage and replaced it with itself with some number of cardboard. Just get rid of it. Again, already banned in modern, so it's just it's a decent card in Legacy as well. And then the self balance decks slash pixie decks, so either the Esper or Orzhov variety, both very good. Hopeless Nightmare, key part of the deck. You can bounce it with Sun Procurin or Nurture and Pixie. and both the Orzhov and Esper versions. The Esper version also gives you this town in Big, which was also banned. And then Stormtree's Talon was also good when you can balance it. So it's just such a good, like, resilient shell that just draws you, just provides so much advantage. And then at the end of the article, they just talk about that it's been just a little over 2 years since they announced the shift to 3-year standard, and they just learned about design for that. So and just when cards are more powerful, when standards large, you seem to be more careful with your cards, especially the powerful ones. So they just talk about like how you want to play Steel Cutter with cheap cards. I guess that's not really it. And then like with Pioneer, no changes. They talk about Terra Magical Adept and the Enigmatic Incarnation list. Like, is it Phoenix list run Cori-Steel Cutter on the side as well? It's something. Although the problem with Pioneer as a format right now is nobody's really playing it because it's not an RCG format, so it's you can like I'd question any deck that's really good just because there's no real innovation in the format. And then Modern got left alone. They made a bunch of changes to Modern last year. Like last year, banned Underworld Breach a few months ago. There's not really. I mean, Boros Energy is really good, but it's not busted. Like Esper Blank, really good deck. But yeah, Brood skill is really good. But and Izzet Prowess as well. But there's nothing really do anything dumb in the deck. Legacy, the All Spells deck is really good. It looks like they finally got the Dimmer Reanimator / Tempo deck under control. It's really good, but I don't know. And then the All Spells deck is kind of busted still, but I don't know. I wouldn't. People were calling for the people who play that format just wanted something to be banned, but I don't know. I think it's just wild that today like this format led to literally the most cards banned on one day since 2005. When we got Arcbound Ravager, Disciple of the Vault, and then the 6 artifact lands from that block banned in standard. I mean, that like the original Mirrodin block just scared people away in literal numbers. I mean, I was just starting to play like around that time period, so I can't speak of how people were scared away. I don't really think people were scared away the past bit, but maybe it was just because they just addressed the formats properly. Anyways, so that's all I got to say. Thanks for watching.